CQ RAYNET, CQ RAYNET. This is Golf 4, November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET UK weekly activity period. The net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. Primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic news, opinions and information, and additional information about RAYNET UK can be found at the website www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name. And if you wish to leave the net immediately after you call in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you wish to leave after subsequent turns, please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I will repeat who I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again, and I will be calling for anybody who misses their turn for calling in at the end of the UK station segment and the international segment. So I'll now begin taking check-ins for the RAYNET UK weekly activity period as usual in call sign number order. So any stations with figure 8 in their call sign, please call now. This is G4 and RC.
Golf Juliet 8 Echo Papa Mike, Steve in Jersey, and I have routine traffic.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee, G8 EEY, name is Mike. Good afternoon, Greg. Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, name's Bob. In and out.
Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie. I have Golf Juliet 8 Echo Papa Mike, Steve, Golf 8 Echo Yankee Mike, both staying with me, and Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform. Good afternoon to you, Bob. Good to check in, but acknowledge you're in and out. Any other 8s, please, G4 and RC, over. Nothing heard from the 8s, so go for 7. The station's figure 7 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, Dave. Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing seen or heard. I know there is another one out there, though. 7s, let's go 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
Mike 6 November Yankee India, Alan, Planet RAYNET, no traffic, in and out, please, Greg.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, Alan. Mike 6, Mike Yankee India. Got me now, the logo's got it wrong. Mike 6 November Yankee India. Copied you in and out, and a good solid check-in, Alan, thank you. Any other 6s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard. Let's go for 5. Stations with figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. stations with figure 4. Figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KUJ.
G4 then India Sierra November, Mozambique, in and out.
G4NRC, okay, we had some interesting behaviour through the server then. I've definitely got Trevor, G4KUJ, who's just taken himself out of the log for some reason. Got Andy, Golf 4 India Sierra November as in and out. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, saw you, didn't hear you. So, Philip, can you confirm if you're staying with us for the net? G4KIL, G4NRC, over.
RC G4KL, sorry about that. yeah, I was staying for the net. I do need to shoot off about 1:45, but I can stay until then, over.
G4NRC acknowledged, and Snap, I've got to do the same. Any other 4s, please, while we catch up with the log? G4NRC, over. Nothing heard, then it's stations figure 3. Figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian. 3VH.
G4NRC, I've got Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, and Chris, Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel. Any other 3s, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard, so let's have 2. Stations figure 2 in their call sign, aiming at the intermediate 2s primarily. From G4NRC, over.
2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Medway.
G4NRC, good afternoon, Colin. 2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra. Any other 2s, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard, so let's go for 1. Stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, second call for any stations with figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, okay, so it is 0s. Let's have Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. That's Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
M0 MFS, Drew, West Devon, no traffic.
Mike 0 Whiskey X-Ray Golf of Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Mark 0 India Tango Mike Andy and Shirley, also in Cornwall, in and out, Greg. Thank you. However, before I go, for those that were following the saga last week about Andy's radio that wasn't working, You will be pleased to know, hopefully, that it is working, and I would like to acknowledge the tremendous help and support from Drew, Guy, Ian and Hans. And for those that were following it, it was down to the DMR mode, which the hotspot was seeing, it had been repeated mode, and once that was sorted, everything was fine. Thank you ever so much, Greg. Over to you.
E4 and RC, that's good to hear. Crowdsourced support is always worth it. So I've got Mike Zero, Mike Foxtrot, Sierra, Drew with his bouquet. We're staying with us. Drew, just noting your audio is rather low. Then I've got Mike Zero, Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley, and Mike Zero, India Tango, Mike, Andy, both in and out. Any other Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over. RC, nothing heard, so let's have Golf Zero stations. Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please go ahead now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Name is Andy. Good afternoon, Greg. And no traffic today, so in and out, please. Over.
G4 and RC, acknowledged, Andy. Good afternoon to you. Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray is in and out. Any other Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
Golf Zero, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, Richard, East Suffolk Raynet, in and out.
Hey, that's break while me and the logger trip over again. Richard, Golf Zero, Charlie Fox Bravo, copy to you in and out. Good afternoon to you. So let's try for any UK stations who missed their turn to call in. Any UK stations who missed their turn to call in, please call now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no strays at that point. So let's now try for any international liaison stations. Noord-Samband in Norway, Aran in Ireland, Slovak Republic, Slovenia, etc. Any international liaison stations, please. G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard, so let's have a final call for strays. Anybody, any country, RAYNET UK or International Emergency Comms Groups who wishes to check in, please call now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no takers, which presumably means that Peter is going to monitor it from our international side. Okay, good afternoon everybody. The net is being live streamed by Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel to YouTube today. Live stream and recording will be available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel on YouTube.com. As alluded to in the check-ins, it's a time-constrained net for me again today. It's the last basketball home game of the regular season, so I do need to be clear by 16:45 if possible, so I can actually get a seat. There's the possibility of one or more two games in the next couple of weeks in the playoffs, but no fixed dates yet. Some more RAYNET-like news. Northamptonshire RAYNET are having an NVIS test next weekend, and I've just heard of a Welsh NVIS test taking place on 1st of July. Both are good examples of keeping all the tools in the toolbox, as we shouldn't rely on one system alone for emergency comms, as news this week from the Pacific confirms. This was the story of an 18-year-old Intelsat and Marsat satellite. I4F1 was the designation. It provided maritime and aviation safety capabilities, as well as L-band phone systems over the Asia-Pacific area. And it went down for nearly a week. The outage started on 16th of April after a partial loss of power. Maritime and some aviation safety was transferred over to another satellite until those services were restored 2 days later on the 18th. But HF stepped back into the aviation world at least, with HF circuits being used for oceanic air traffic control again. All services on the spacecraft have been restored except the global satellite phone service up to April 21st, said an Inmarsat spokesperson. So satellite bit sick. And finally, what should be the main topic of today, but possibly not for Jersey. First one up, who received the emergency alert at 1500 hours today? It worked for me with noise, display and message read aloud, while another phone in the house took 13 minutes to receive the alert and even then did not do a readout. So what news from everybody else? Let's go round the country, starting with Steve, Golf Juliet 8, Echo Papa Mike from G4 and RC, over.
For NRC, this is GJ8EPM. Thank you so much, Greg, for hosting today in your usual excellent style. And hello to everybody on the RAYNET afternoon talk show here. I'll move quickly, Greg, because it's time constrained. I have a few comments that are routine, and I won't come back for a second over. The DMR repeater is fully operational in Jersey. It's in continuous use. The D-Star is being updated, backing up things like the hard disk and so forth. We're in the process of resetting and reloading up all the DMR radios. One of my 2 radios has been updated by Peter, GAPVL, and we're working through them more progressively. Trying to gather the whole RAYNET team together for some cool training and make sure the organization is strong. Weather's relatively good in Jersey, 13 degrees C. Today is sunny, but some clouds, force 4. Visibility very good, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, 1,003 millibars, 78% humidity. It's generally a reasonably nice day. I walked out on the cliffs and beautiful views of the seas today. Friday evening, though, we had an issue where a French vessel got into difficulties off Ecru, and emergency services had to save the gentleman. It was all pulled off very well with R&I boat finding him and giving him back to the French. But the traffic was quite intense, the radio traffic over that incident. So I will be with you next week, but a few weeks after that I'll be back in California, and there I'll be working with the HARES and the RRL as usual. And as I mentioned before, and on your comments of hardness and robustness of systems, absolutely. I mean, relying just on internet-based systems like DMR is just not good enough for emergency services. The first thing that goes down is the internet. If it doesn't get physically destroyed, it gets totally overloaded, and it just, the whole thing falls down. So there has to be more than one channel for that. So anyway, I'll go back, pass it back to you, Greg. G0DUB, this is GJ8EPM.
Golf Juliet 8, Echo Papa Mike, G4 and RC returning. Okay, Steve, I think by the absence of comment, you confirmed then that the UK-wide emergency alert system test did not hit Jersey the same way as it did not hit the Isle of Man, or was not intended to hit the Isle of Man, because it's being limited to mainland and Northern Ireland, as far as I know. Your mobile operators, like the ones I believe in the rest of Europe, might be giving themselves another 12 months to sort this system out. We've been reading elsewhere that it will go live, and at that point Jersey might find itself in the same position the Isle of Man did, of receiving alerts from across the water, which were not actually intended for your own country. So one to watch for the future, but enjoy California in a few weeks' time as well. Okay, next to Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8EEY. Yeah, well, weather's not quite so nice as Jersey here. 10.7 centigrade, 999 millibars, quite low. 91% relative humidity and 100% cloud cover. And about 90 minutes ago, got a lovely deluge. But the winds are quite light at 6.3 miles an hour from 213 degrees. Talking to people down the local, they were asking me, oh, will the alert come through if my phone's turned off, or can they turn it on like we do in American cop shows? And the answer is no. If it's turned off, it's turned off. So I tried that with the Samsung, and I can confirm. The Nokia, which I now know to be on 3G, there was no indication before, but it obviously is, did not hear anything either. So it worked beautifully. Not heard a thing. From G8EEY.
Eight Echo Echo Yankee G4 and RC returning. Okay, no corrections in my log from Trevor doing the logging. Yes, the number of people have said, can it come through if the phone's turned off? It's a bit like saying, do you wake up if you're asleep? No, never mind. Wrong analogy. Good that the 3G didn't work, except it's not good. But I read elsewhere this week, Vodafone have actually started turning off their 3G signal, starting off in the south of the country, and the message I got from Vodafone was that the whole country would be turned off 3G, as far as they were concerned, by the end of this year. So a small 3G phone that I've got that I've been trying to resurrect back into service with a flat battery didn't resurrect last night, and given the message from Vodafone that it was never really going to come back to life again, or not for long enough, it'll hit the bin. Another one to go to recycling. But interesting for us was that we had like a 13-minute delay between one alert and the other, even though both phones were turned on, so something odd was going on with the system. Right, next on the list to speak to is Dave, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg, and good afternoon to everyone on the net. Yes, 13 minutes past 15, our alert went off, and Debs, who's sat not a million miles from me, has not had it yet, and her phone is still on, and she has not unsubscribed. So whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. So Kelsor's not renowned for the best mobile phone signal. So whether it will happen or not, I don't know. I just thought it was a signal problem here with it coming 13 minutes late. But obviously you're 5 or 6 miles up the road, and you've got the second signal, Greg. So I'm not sure. And I don't know if you noticed, Graham's just popped the message up. He was calling on Fusion, and he's now going to have a go on the DMR side as his Fusion wasn't working. But back to you, Greg. Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar.
I dropped out from the server. Try again. Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC. Al, thanks, since you're in my geographic area, for confirming that there was a signal at 1513. That wasn't expected. I'm wondering, as I'll dig into my settings and the various breakthrough basketball, my phone has got some preference for 4G over 3G or 4G only or stuff like that. I wonder if there's some buried phone setting that Debs' phone might have been sort of lurking on 3G because it was stronger. As you say, knowing your hill is not the best served for mobile phones. Okay, we'll bring Graham in at the end of the list. So we'll move next on to Philip. Got 4 Kilo India Lima at G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC G4 KIL. Yeah, thanks, Mark. I've got to just get out and confirm you're getting this because we had problems the first time I called. So, yeah.
4 Kilo India Lima, G4 and RC. Yes, receiving you, Philip, but very loud to the point of distortion, over.
G4 KIL, I can't my home mark. That's interesting. Hopefully that's better. I shall just assume it is and plow on. The other one was that it's actually Bluetooth and hearing aids, which I have used very successfully in the car, but the first time I did the call from here, it didn't seem to work so well. and so I thought I'd try it, but there might be other reasons. Okay, let me try and go through quite quickly. We did have the alerts here. According to my watch, the alert came through here just before 3 o'clock. It was about 1:02 now, or maybe a little bit less than that. Not that I've checked the synchronization of my watch perfectly recently, but it's not usually that far out. We certainly, there were 3 of us, I think, in the flat I'm in at the moment. We're all on effectively O2, actually one of the supermarkets that uses O2, and all came through here. Yes, okay. What else? We got our first event, it's our Sussex RAYNET, on this next weekend, called Free Thoughts Marathon. And if anybody's available to help with that, that would be really good, because I think we're going to be a bit short of folk. We've had at least one of our local folk who has had to drop out on that. And that links we're doing with the HF test, near vertical incident test, next week. I might or might not going to take part, depends whether I can sling up something over the antenna I'm using when I'm out and about. Okay, what else? So yes, I think that's nearly it. I suppose the only other comment I've really got is we're trying to encourage our local group to move to using Teams rather than Zoom. We're getting some, because of being able to share files on SharePoint and things like that. Some resistance there, and interested in if anybody has comments on that and the experience of it, and whether they think it's going to be a problem trying to get everyone on Teams. I probably spoke far too quickly. I usually do. Thank you, Greg. G4NRC, G4KL.
G4KAL, G4NRC. No problem. I think my typing kept up. So if you were all through a mobile, I've written in MVNO, but a mobile virtual network operator via O2, that's good. It did at least mean it was absolutely at the cellular level, not through any network operator concerns. With your event next weekend, shame it's last minute dropouts, but wonder if it's in the national calendar and whether or not you could possibly flip the status on the national calendar to saying help needed for your marathon next weekend. Understand, as a consequence of that, you might not be able to play in the NVIS test next Sunday. Sunday, yes. But have found sometimes it is a very event relevant whether or not you can safely string up a HF antenna as well as running the VHF, UHF stuff. Moving your group to use Teams rather than Zoom should be easier now than it was a few months ago, because a few months ago policy was that you couldn't play unless you had a RAYNET-UK email address. That has now changed, so you can invite people in to participate in Teams meetings who are not RAYNET-UK address holders. So that might ease some of the problems, Philip. Certainly hope so. Okay, next to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC in the group, G4KUJ. Good afternoon, Greg and everybody else. I concur with your comments about Philip's signal. It is very loud, and the distortion does make it difficult to understand. You have to concentrate very much. Not much done on the radio front this week. Just to confirm that the message you wanted to send to Peter DL4FN did in fact go on Friday evening by Pactor. So as you're in time constraint, I'll pass it back to you, Greg. G4NRC, G4KUJ via Fusion.
G4KUJ, G4NRC. Okay, thanks for confirming you're coming through Fusion. Just for the benefit of anybody else listening, if you do see G4NRC pop up on your DMR displays, that's just the dummy call sign we have to assign to Fusion traffic, so it will get passed through DMR. Has raised some queries with other people over the last week or so, but it's a administrative vehicle of choice at the moment, because we can't get a dummy call sign as such issued out by Radio ID, as far as I can tell at the moment. Thanks for doing the message relay, Trevor. But move quickly on to Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC in the group, G3ZHX, good afternoon. Yes, I only got about 75% of Philip's transmission. He was so loud it was distorted heavily on my TYT, which may be the fault of the TYT, but even so, I think he should perhaps investigate and see if he can reduce his volume. The emergency message, just before you started calling, I picked up my smartphone and found that there had been a silent message put on there. I'm still in the process of taking this smartphone over from somebody else, although it was factory reset, and it would appear that it had, it's an Android phone, and it would appear it had Do Not Disturb, Don't Override as the default for all the applications that I've looked at so far, including the emergency messages. That may be something worth looking at. Otherwise, I've got nothing to add, and I will now leave you. Start again. I will now go back to standby and wait for your second call, G3ZHX.
Three Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC. Okay, fine. One of the positives people have said about having the YouTube video available is that it does mean you can hear what you sound like. And noting that Drew, Mike Foxtrot Sierra later on had rather weak audio, it might just be worth people skimming through the video, even if you don't normally watch it, just to find yourself and just to hear yourself on the DMR net and decide whether or not your audio is average or a little bit too hot or a little bit too cold. Interesting that your phone has Do Not Disturb, Don't Override status, because that should be overridden no matter what by an emergency alert. What I am wondering is if it was factory reset, is there something odd? Because this was only meant to work on some versions of Android, aside from the 4G, 4G, 5G limitation. They were guaranteeing it on certain versions of iOS and above, and certain versions of Android and above. That being the other little wrinkle that might yet hurt this test. Okay, thanks Ian. Come up to you in a few minutes. Next to Chris, Golf 3, Victor Echo Hotel, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, G3VHS, okay, yeah, great. The other two emergency calls came through okay this afternoon. Both my phone and my wife's phone. Spot on time, so no problems. I'm losing my voice. I've been at an event this morning, so first one of the year for North West Hands RAYNET. Anyway, before I lose my voice totally, I'll say 7-3, and thanks for running the net. G4 NRC, G3VH.
Golf 3, Victor Echo Hotel, G4 and RC. Okay, thanks Chris. Yes, you do sound like you've been doing an awful lot of talking this morning. Interesting, you said your message was on time. The national news did have some people taken by surprise and kind of confirming it did go out at 14:59, not 1500. Which brings about another challenge of, does anybody know what the right time is anymore? Since everything is digitised to different degrees of delay, what is the right time? With that philosophical question, next to Colin, 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
From 2E0 CMS. I've got a couple of clocks around the house to pick up the, well, it's not the rugby signal anymore, anyway. I'm not sure where it's based these days, but it picks up the radio signal anyway, so I usually have my household appliances and things with the clock set correct. But anyway, from this end, I did get the emergency alert through, again a minute early.
and on the devices that are on the O2 network, or GIFGAF anyway. Reading some of the comments from my group, nobody on the free network received them either. And a couple of people on Vodafone and even O2 as well didn't get them, so whether they've got older devices, I don't know. Apart from that, starting our meetings in earnest for the events. We've also got a meeting this week with the local voluntary sector groups. I think Wednesday, I think it is, which I'm going to go to. In fact, I've got the week off work, so I might be playing radio and popping up on here quite a bit if I get a chance. So if anybody's around, say hello. But apart from that, I'm not going to come back for the second round. I'll let you finish them early. Back to you, Greg, from 2E0 CNS.
To Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC. Okay, Anthorn is the place you're thinking of. The Rugby 60 kilohertz transmitter many years ago moved up into Cumbria, and the Anthorn station. That's where the signal comes from now. But when I'm watching the MSF signal on my WebSDR, the delay on seeing the waterfall tick with the carrier on and off, and hearing the decoded tones, and then seeing the time comes up, there is an unsubtle difference between some of those, which I'm still trying to get my head around. No one received the message on 3, you say. Interesting. I wonder whether 3 is still doing what they say on the tin, because 3 was a 3G network. I'm not sure how their rollout to 4G has gone, but I know they are also in merger talks with Vodafone, so maybe trying to get their advantage back by other ways. Okay, thanks for joining in, Colin. Hopefully talk to you next week and through the week, and enjoy your week off. Next to Drew, Mike Zero, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC, over. Mike Zero, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, M0 MFS, you still with us, Drew, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard. Okay, so we've got 2 strays to bring in, one being resistant. So first of all, Graham, G7 and EH, Fusion is working, so I wonder if you get through DMR now. G7 and EH, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, G7 and EH. Good afternoon, Greg, and good afternoon to all on the net. I rigged up a hotspot and was receiving fine through Fusion, no problem whatsoever. And when I transmitted, it was showing up on the hotspot dashboard, but obviously not making it all the way. It wasn't even showing up on WX's dashboard. But there we go. I'll do a bit more investigation in the week and see what the issue is. I did receive the emergency message. It was a couple of seconds before 3 o'clock on my phone, which is with EE. However, my brother, who's on O2 and has a slightly older phone than me, has not received it whatsoever. So you may have answered that by your comment on the Android version, Greg. I'm not sure what version of Android he's actually running at the moment, so we'll have to take a look. As regards last week's views, we had 35 views and 5 likes. And just looking at the dashboard a moment ago, we've had in total 10 views today. I think there's 6 currently watching. So there we go. Not a lot else to add from me. G4NRC, G7EH.
G798, G4NRC. Okay, thanks, Graham. Yeah, it'd be worth having a look at the gov.uk website and see what the Android version was that it needed to be above. The other thing, I should really drop you a message about this, but can you have a look in YouTube Creator? And I think there's a thing there to turn videos into podcasts. So it will just rip the audio off to one side, which might help some people. I noticed it when I was going through YouTube Creator yesterday, with a view to us making life easier for just having an automatic podcast created out of this as well as the video. Okay, thanks, Graham. And finally, with no apologies, Mike Zero, Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4NRC over.
Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for letting me in. I've been trying to get in since 4 o'clock, but my hotspot is just refusing to connect to anything DMR, either through Pheonix or direct. No idea why. I just done an update on it, which only updated the firewall, and then you've appeared. So, no idea what's going on there. So, apologise for being late. I missed all the beginning. I'll have to look at the YouTube now and find out what happened. Emergency alert wise, yes, I did receive it, but I would swear I received it at 3 minutes to 3. Certainly 2 minutes to 3. That was well before 3 o'clock. Here, and I think I'm on Virgin. I think it's EE now. Sarah, my daughter, got it on one phone and not the other. The other one being a Nokia, which is not all that old, but may, of course, only be 3G, so we'll investigate that. So, yes, it worked. Very underwhelming, to be fair. Who knows? Back to you, G4NRC, M0JSA in the group.
M0JSA, G4NRC. Yeah, I think while it might be underwhelming, there'll certainly be plenty of people who will knock it, but on the other hand, if I had been doing my usual Sunday activities, I wouldn't have known a thing, because I generally watch YouTube, not live TV or radio. So there wouldn't be any way of getting me unless it had been that kind of broadcast alert. So it will have hit more people than nothing would have done in the past. Okay, we are very close to my time limit, so let's see if we'll go once more around very quickly, see if there's any further comments or calls. Golf Juliet A, Taco Papa Mike, G4NRC over.
For NRC, this is GJDPM. Thank you so much, Greg. No, I don't really have any more comments. Of course, you're right. We didn't receive the emergency messages in Jersey. We have Jersey phones, but my wife also has a UK phone and I have a California phone. None of the phones received it. So I think it was supposed to come through. Not come through, rather, in Jersey and Isle of Man, as you said, but I thought I'd just add that, and that finishes me for today. Thank you. G4NRC, this is GJDPM.
G4NRC, I remember many years ago being on a course at Philips Telecom with a Jersey Telecom engineer who kind of let slip for many years the Jersey Telecom system was a few kilohertz off from the rest of the GSM fraternity because their Marconi test set was out of calibration. So there's a variety of reasons the island telecom companies aren't on some of these systems, but you are now aligned with everybody else. And it's good in some ways you're not on the emergency alert system at this point in time. We'll see what happens when the European mainland one goes live, though. Might have less choice then because you'll be so close to France, you'll be picking up all their alerts. Okay, thanks, Steve. Have a nice week. Next to Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC over.
G4NRC from G8EY. Yes, in terms of delays on messages, I had a text sent to me about a week ago that actually took 20 hours to arrive from when it was sent. All digital systems are not too accurate. Well, yeah, GPS probably is one way of getting at the time. I find most phones these days, people say, oh, I've got a timer on my phone, but they don't normally display seconds, so they usually only write to a minute. And, of course, if you listen to Radio 4 like I do, but I listen off Sky Satellite, they still put out the pips at the top of the hour, but they are, of course, about a second out. So there you go. You can't really rely on anything these days. From G8EY, over.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee G for an RC. What we need to do is get some people back on the moon again, and everybody will get used to the idea that radio isn't instantaneous and there is a round trip delay. The moon landings did at least reinforce that to everybody. Okay, thanks, Mike. Have a good week. Talk to you soon. Dave, we've got Graham in. Thanks again for confirming the 1513 alert, though, as I wasn't worried about that one. M7AVO G for an RC, over.
G4 NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, 1513. And both myself and Deb's here on O2, so whether that makes any difference, I don't know. Graham mentioned an O2 problem there, but I'm not sure. Deb still hasn't been woken up by her alert yet, so we're still waiting. But no, I will hopefully catch you next weekend, Greg, and I'll also have a quick chat with you about your trip down south when we get time. Got you, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Yes, there's a couple of things to talk about. One, Greg doing his first Parks on the Air activation. The other one being his trip to Martin Lynch, which is where I didn't buy a new DMR mobile radio. So the segue for this is Philip G4KAL. I've not forgotten your problems with the analog to DMR link. I've nearly bought one of those radios myself, but luckily Lynch doesn't carry them, so I didn't actually make the spending decision last weekend that could have happened. G4KAL for a final G for an RC, over.
G4NRC, G4KIL. Yes, thanks very much there. Yeah, we're pursuing the link by not trying to use the crossband on the radio itself. And we'll see how it goes. Oh, and thanks for the use of this frequency. Last Monday we did use it, and we'll carry on using it for about 15 minutes, possibly maximum half an hour from about 8:30 on Mondays, if everyone's happy with that. Yeah, thanks for the comments from my last. Oh, hopefully the voice is better this time. I've turned the Bluetooth off. This should really be coming through the handheld mic. Be useful just for you to let me know, Greg, if that's the case. And the other thing to let you know is I should be up on the 1st of May for the HF one. Not sure about all. It won't be up, but probably not on the 28th. In time on the radio, at the moment, as far as I can make out, the time signal on analog FM from Radio 4 is still correct, and that's what I usually synchronise my watch to. Thank you then, and I'm clear. G4NRC, G4KIL clear.
G4KIL, G4NRC. Okay, much better audio that time, as in no distortion. Still a bit on the loud side, but not too bad. So you'll hear that if you do listen back. And yes, analog FM, still probably the most accurate of the lot. And for everybody's benefit, Philips use of 23531 and 5023531 group net. Absolutely, if your group has a DMR net, I don't think we have a coordination problem at the moment. There's only Philip and Essex using it for group net purposes. So if there's a slot you want to use it, then keep the talk group active, because that's how we keep the talk group assigned to us. So through Philip, next to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KUJ. Yeah, I forgot to say we got the messages here. We had two phones on Vodafone and one on O2. One phone on Vodafone and the one on O2 went off at 14:59, and the other Vodafone went off about 5 seconds later, I think just after the 1500. So that was more or less okay, and it all worked okay, and they were both iPhones that were all iPhones that were on the system. Nothing further. Catch you during the week or next weekend. G4NRC, G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4NRC. Thanks for that. Yeah, I was expecting some propagation delays between the various networks, but 5 seconds seems more appropriate than some of the others. And yes, we do need to catch up. There's more than a few things going on. I'll just have to see how bad work gets this week. Okay, next to Ian, Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC in the group. Thanks for running the net, Greg. I'll keep this brief. Android on my phone is 7.1.1 for information. And yeah, I can confirm that the analog Radio 4 is within a second of the MSF transmissions. As soon as it goes into a digital system like DAB, it's liable to be delayed by several seconds, and I don't know the reason. And I note that the time, as shown on the screen in front of me now, coming from G7NEH, is about 10 seconds slow. And with that, I'll give it back to you and look forward to hearing from you next week. G3ZHX.
G3ZHX, G4NRC. Okay, I will have checked the log and seen what Android versions work on the emergency alert system by next week, I hope. So I'll try and put some feedback into next week's net accordingly. Okay, thanks for the quick over, Ian. We've just got 3 left. Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra. Are you back with us, Drew? G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra. I think I'm with you now.
Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra got you with Echo. So I guess, are you calling in and out at that point? But the Echo that made life difficult that time rather than the weak audio, Drew, over.
Yeah, I swapped over to my Anytone from my R-Finder, and obviously being a computer-controlled radio, it's very difficult to get the volume to respond. I'll be very quick. I got the alert on Vodafone twice, one at 20 seconds to 3 and one at 17 minutes past 3, which was quite surprising. But on O2, nothing on any of my 3 phones, and I've got a lot of 3 phones because Smarty is one of the cheapest ways of getting 4G SIMs. And they all failed. Other than that, I'll call this quits. Everything we can leave for next week from Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra.
0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4NRC. Much better audio that time round. All copied, all in the log, and thanks for the short overdrew. I am over time again. Right, talk to you next week. Thanks very much. Next to Graham for a final. G7NEH, G4NRC, over.
Yeah, G4NRC, G7NEH. Nothing to add this end, Greg, so I'll duck out. And I will have a look at the YouTube creator, see what I can do with the podcasts. G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7NEH, G4NRC. Thank you, Graham. Okay, I will see you on Thursday afternoon. Next, it's going to be Alan, M0JSA. And are you up in the Chester area tomorrow, Alan? M0JSA, G4NRC, over.
Yeah, unfortunately, Greg, I won't be there. I've had to cancel the holiday because I weren't well. I'm better now, but I'm only really better today, so we travelled up tomorrow, so we had to cancel it, unfortunately. But we will reschedule, Chester, and when I come that way, I'll let you know. I won't hold it 30 seconds, but just a couple of a very quick time one. Back in the days of teletext, with my day job, I used to be very interested in time synchronization. And back in teletext, 1 year, they put in a leap second, as they do at New Year, occasionally, and the BBC put it in, but ITV didn't. So their teletext out of step for ages. A good part of the day before they caught back up again. So they're actually, ITV was running a second amp. So actually, it's nothing new, nothing new. Have a great day. Thank you for your time, Greg, and also hopefully we'll see you later in the year, but not just now, unfortunately. S73 to you all. G4LRC M0 Sound Group.
Or NRC returning. Okay, Alan, thought I'd better check, given knew you hadn't been well. So, okay, I'll clear tomorrow night out and look forward to seeing you soon. Leap seconds, I need to read an article because apparently there's another attempt at redefining UTC, which will avoid leap seconds allegedly, or do something different with them. So, what is time? Okay, other than I'm out of it, so I shall close the net, thanking everybody as usual for taking time out this afternoon to take part. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET UK weekly activity net and return the talk groups to an open net rather than a directed net. 730 all, this is Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie now closing, reverting to my normal call sign of Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo and getting immediate QRT. Bye bye.